Hello everybody. This is our third video in the series of videos on the game Waffle, which you can find at wafflegame.net. So go watch the first two videos to learn how to play the game, as well as to see what kind of notation I've been using in order to solve it. This third video is going to be about how using the technique that I have been introducing in the first two videos can actually save you from getting the wrong answer. So in the first two videos, it was always assumed that we had the correct solution already. And then we just had to figure out what are the 10 swaps that get us from the initial set puzzle to that solution. But in this video, I'm going to show you an instance that comes from my own experience today where I had two different possible solutions, and I had to decide between those two different possible solutions. And the way that I'm going to end up choosing in this video is by noticing that using my technique with one of the solutions, I can only reduce my solution path to 11 swaps, to 11 transpositions. And so that cannot be the solution since the puzzle setter guarantees us we can get there in 10. So that helps me choose between two possible solutions. All right, so let's go through this and I will show you where I ran into problems. So I'm going to first copy over here the green letters. Those are already known, R, T, and Y. All right, now, how did I go about solving this? Well, I looked at this bottom row and I said, hey, that A can't be in the fourth position. Well, that means it has to go into the second position. So I have RAT blank Y. My first thought was Tim Rattay, the old quarterback for the 49ers, but I know the A is not in the fourth position. So what could it be? And the only word I could think of was ratty. So we put the T there. Okay, then I went to this U, because, I mean, U's are always kind of weird to have in words. What could it be? Well, I know that there's going to be, possibly an A in this word, and it's not typically going to come after the U here. So I thought, okay, what if I put an H there? What could I have? Oh, that AU sound, aw, aunt, haunt. All right, so I used the H and the N. Now I know there has to be a T in this top row, and it's not in the fourth position because it's already yellow in the fourth position. So I put that there, and that word has to then be ethos. All right, so we're getting our way through this thing. What do I have left? Well, let's see. There's this G, and I know it's going to be somewhere either in this middle row or in the rightmost one. I can't see immediately a word that's going to have the G in here. So I think, well, maybe I'll stick it over here. And I see this word, EGR. I mean, literally I'm sounding it out, eager. Hey, that worked. EAGER. Okay, what do we have left? Let's see, I guess I have an L, an R, an E, another U. Okay, I'm not going to put two U's into this word, so I'm going to probably want to put another U in here. Unlikely it goes in front of the Y, so let's put it after the S. And okay, I actually see a couple of options now. So in both of those options, I have an L here. But what I can see, I still have an L and an R and an E. The E doesn't fit, but an R would, I would have surly, and an L would, I would have sully. All right, so I could have an R here, and then, well, let's see, an L and an E would be left, so I guess this would have to be gluer. All right, and I'll do that. Actually, let me put this E in red. All right, so it could be that, but if I swap the R and the L, right, so if I switch these around, then I would have gruel and sully, and that's also a correct solution potentially. All right, so how do I choose between these two? Well, what I did in practice is I went with gluer and surly first. And it's going to turn out this is not the correct solution, but we can actually see why. So I'm going to try to solve this now using the technique that I introduced in video 2. So let's see. First thing, I notice that there are, let's see, two E's in here. So I'm going to call this E1 and that E2. Let's see, A, there's one, two, three A's. So we'll have an A1, an A2, and an A3. There are two T's, so T1 and T2. There's two L's, so L1 and L2. There's only one R, there's only one H. Let's see, there's only one U, and O, and an N. Okay, so we've got all the duplicates. All right, so let's start with, say, E1, because I just always like to start with the first one. Okay, where does E1 go? Well, let's see. I guess it could go into the E in gluer, which would be the U. Where does U go? It could go into the U in surly, so that would be T2. Let's see. A T could go, it could go into the E1 position, so I can close this back off. So I've used the E1, the U, and the T2. Okay, next, I haven't used the A1, so let's see where that goes. So A could go straight down into the R position. Let's see, where does R go? That would go into, I have it over here in surly, so that'd be in the G position. Okay, the G, that needs to go, to gluer at the front, that's E2. All right, E, that could go into, just down one position to L2. Okay, L2, let's see, that could go into the L in surly, which would be the A2 position. A2, let's see, I've already used, no, I haven't used the L1 position, so let's do that. Let's see, now another L, that can go into, gluer, so that's the H position. H goes into haunt, so that's the A1 position. Back to the start. All right, have I used everything? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No way, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green, so that means I have 15 other letters I have to use. So what did we not use up? Well, it's underlined here. So we used A1, we used R, we used G, E2, L2, A2, L1, and H. All right, so scanning across, I have not used T1. Okay, so T1, let's see, a T could go into, let's see, we've already used the E1, could go down into ratty, that'd be in the A3 position. Okay, A, let's see, we've already used the L1, we've already used the R, here we go, into the N position. Okay, where did N go? That went into haunt, that's in the O position. And where does O go? That goes into the T1 position in ethos. Okay. And double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yep, so we got everything. T1, the O, the N, and the A3. Cool, everything's underlined. All right, now, if I turn this into a bunch of transpositions, I would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, 12 is definitely not what we're looking for. We want 10. So I need to look for duplications, and I don't have one in the 3 cycle at the front or the 4 cycle in the end, but I do have a duplicate A, and duplicate L for that matter, in this middle cycle. So let's move this A1 down to the end. So I'll have R, G, E2, L2, A2. I'm going to close it off at A2 because I know I'm duplicating the A. And then I have L1, H, A1. All right. Now, at this point, I've been able to cut down by 1, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And now I just need to look for one more duplicate, but there aren't any. EU, T2, no duplicate letter. RG, E2, L2, A2, no duplicate. LH, A, no duplicate. TANO, there's no duplicate. It's impossible for me to break this up any further. And so this, like when I saw this, I was like, oh my goodness, did my technique fail? That seems mathematically impossible because I know that it must work. And that's when it occurred to me, I must have the wrong solution. So what if we go back here and we swap the L and the R? All right, so we're going to get Gruel and Sully. So if I do that, then let's see, move that up just a little bit. Okay, let's start again. From E1, okay, the E1 can still go into the U, right? Right down here. So E1 goes to U, U goes to T2, right? Like actually, a lot of this is going to stay the same. Okay, all right, the T, that closes off the E1. All right, now we'll go to the A1. That can still go to the R, but now we moved where the R was going to go. Originally, it was coming over here to the G position, right? R went into the G position, but now, okay, in fact, let me just erase this so that we don't make a silly mistake here. Okay, we now know the R is going into this second position in the middle row. That's the H block. All right, so now things are really changing. So let's see, where does the H go? That went up into the A1 position. Hey, we're closing this off. All right, so let's see, we've done the E1, we did the A1, we haven't done the T1, so let's do T1. So T, let's see, we already used this T in ethos. How about we'll do the T in ratty? So that goes to the A3 position. Okay, A is gonna, let's see, we can put that into the L1 position, right, up here in eager. L1, that can move over to Sully. So we could go into the G position. G is going to go into the beginning of Gruel, so that's the E2 position. And then E, that can go into the U position in Gruel. No, we already used U, so maybe we'll just put it down into the L2 position in eager. Okay, this other L, that could also go into Sully. That'll go into the A2 position. All right, A2, that could go into the N position in ratty. Okay, N is going to go into haunt, so that's the O. O is going to go into the T1 in ethos. So we close off this T1 block. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's everything. Okay, now if we break this up naively, we get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that's too many. All right, I don't want to break up the first two because there's no duplications. But in this last cycle, I have two A's. So let's shift down so that this A3 is going to come last. So I have L1, G, E2, L2, A2. I'll close it off at the A, N, O, T1, A3. All right, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? Remember, every time you break it up this way, you get to decrease the swaps by 1. All right, well, I want it to be 10, so I need another duplicate. And this time I've got it. I've got two L's. So I'm going to move this L down to the end. I get G, E2, L2, close it off, A2, L1. And now I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so we try it, E1. And now I want to write this down using the other way of breaking up cycles into transpositions that we saw last time. Again, it's not giving you the same cycle, but it will work in total for moving these puzzles around. So we have E1U, E1T2, and then A1R, A1H, GE2, GL2, A2L1, and then we have NO, NT1, NA3. All right, and if you want to see, we could head over to wafflegame.net and we'll check that this works. Okay, so we're over at wafflegame.net and we're just going to follow this sequence, again, always right to left, of transposition. So I start N and A3. So N, and there's my third A. Then we do N and T1. So the first T is up at the top. Then we do N and O. All right, now A2 and L1. So there's my second A, and my first L is over here. Then we're going to do G and L2. Okay, so there's my second L and the G. Now we do G and E2. So just one space up. Then we do A1 and H. So there's my A1 and my H. Then A1 and R. And E1 and T2. And then finally we do the E1 and the U. And hey, we got it. Perfect again. Okay, now, what have we actually shown here? Well, it's not as perfect as we would like. The ideal situation is that somehow we would know for sure that we had the correct answer. And we can't know that for sure. It could be that there are multiple solutions that you could get from the starting grid to those solutions in exactly 10 swaps. That could be the case. And there's no way to distinguish between those as far as I can tell. However, if you come up with an alternate solution and when you apply my algorithm, you end up with more than 10 swaps, provided you haven't made a mistake somewhere, you know for sure that you have not found the actual solution, right? So it's a lot like casting out nines in arithmetic. It can't verify that you have the right answer, but it can verify that you don't have the right answer. And that's pretty useful, it turns out. All right, leave some messages in the comments. Tell me what you think.